I have a feeling that I'm not 100% free if journalists still continue to, to be detained in Sostenia Detention Center.
Akkam jirtu uummata Oromoo, ani Yassin Juma. I have been a TV reporter in Kenya, based in Kenya for more than 15 years. My speciality was regional affairs, so I had interest in Ethiopian affairs, I had interest in Somalia affairs, I had interest in Sudan affairs. While in Kenya, I started doing stories about refugees, but I was focusing mostly on Somali refugees. One day I was in Isli, and I asked one of the friends who was hosting me in Isli, who are these Ethiopians who I see here in Isli? My question was, why would Ethiopians be seeking refugee status in Kenya? I was used to Somalis, I had covered Somalia, but these were new people. My assumption was Ethiopia is a country at peace, and why are they doing here? So the restaurant owner explained to me just why the Oromos are in Kenya, and I got to understand, because my assumption was that I think the Ethiopians are in Kenya because of economic reasons. Then I understood about the Oromo people. I understood that the Oromos are related to our own sub-tribes of Oromo, like Orma, like Borana, Gabra, and others. Then I got, I developed interest on the Oromo community in Kenya, that is. Then now they got to, invite me, for example, during the World Refugee Day, I would go and cover and do the story for NTV. Then we became close with time. I understood them, they could trust me. I have so much respect for the Oromo nation. You see, there are also borders, because I am a journalist and I know what lines to cross, not to cross, but our relationship has been good. But my main aim as a journalist has been to highlight, the grievances of all communities in Ethiopia and the whole of Eastern Africa. But my relationship with the Oromo is, I would say, is a special one. Especially after, recently they made me what they call the Ilma Abagada. So it was such an honor for them to adopt me into their ethnic group, and I love their culture, and yeah, I'm a person who has a lot of interest in anthropology, so the culture, all this excites me. What triggered my interest to do this story was the killings that took place in Turbi in Marsabit, Kenya. So I had to cross the border into Ethiopia and find out, face to face the OLF and ask them, were they involved in this or not? But it took time for the OLF leaders to accept, my crew to spend the 7 days with them. It was, I'd say, it was one of the most, for me it was a masterpiece in my journalism career. I don't think I've ever done what I see as a powerful documentary like Inside Rebel Territories. The characters were very strong, but most important, it was a documentary that was supposed to, put it to the world that there is a struggle that has been going on in Ethiopia, which many people are not aware of. That was one of the main issues of that documentary. I had to highlight exactly what was happening in the struggle, the Oromo struggle that was taking place in Ethiopia, which the world didn't know. So I became the first foreign journalist to cover this armed struggle of the Oromo people. Well, I never expected. My assumption was that, my ban had been lifted. All political leaders were returning from the diaspora, going back to Ethiopia. Journalists who had been jailed were being released. Political detainees were being released. OLF, ONLF, all these militant groups were transforming into political parties, you see. So there was change. When Abiy came in 2018, there were reforms that we saw. So it is these reforms that attracted me and many others, I'm sure, to say, hey, I think it's time to go back after 10 years of my ban. I think it's time, or it's safe enough for me to, go back to Ethiopia and do a follow-up of the changes. Actually, the reason why I went to Ethiopia was, to follow up on these changes. The charges that I was facing were quite serious. The proposed charge, just to be clear, because I was not charged. Number one charge was that I was involved in, I blocked the funeral procession of the slain musician Hachalu Ndesa. They claim that, when his body was being taken to Ambo for burial, I was part of some group who, blocked the funeral procession. I was also accused of planning to, assassinate ruling party officials. I was also accused of being part of killing an Oromia police officer at the Oromia Cultural Center. Charges look like it's a blanket charges because I'm with others who are being charged. So the judges asked the prosecutors to be specific. Then later on, they alleged that I was, what they say, a satellite hacker, whatever that means. I didn't really understand what is, and that I'm leaking confidential government information to some foreign countries, and that I had, I had spy bases in Awade, Diradawa, Adama, and I can't remember the last place. Then this happened to be all the places where my company Hon24 is doing documentaries for OBN, which is a government affiliated TV station, on e-learning. And my work was only to cover as a documentary what exactly this project was. And I'm not an IT expert. I can't really pinpoint exactly how I got the coronavirus, but what I know is that the cells were overcrowded, and we also had contact from outside, which is the police. The police would come to the cells and walk around the cells with their boots, and we used to eat on the floor. So that would be one way of how I contracted it. And the other way would be one of the inmates, spread it, because we were sharing everything. We were sharing the sanitary. Like the person who first got corona, he used to serve food for us. So I can imagine just how many people were in contact with him. So in the end, 68 people were found to be COVID-19 plus. When it was discovered that I had COVID-19, it came 3 days after I had been rearrested. So, I was still trying to, get over the fact that I had been rearrested, because the court had given us a bail, and I paid the bail, the 3,000 birr. Then I went out. Then I was literally kidnapped by 6 men and got myself back. So I was still, getting over all this. It was an event that really, affected me psychologically. Then all of a sudden, I'm being told that I'm COVID-19 positive. I had to deal with 2 different things at the same time. I was a bit confused, and I really got depressed for a while. It took me like maybe a week before I started coming back to some form of normalcy. I felt I'm innocent. The court found me innocent. I mean, there was no evidence against me. Then I'm literally kidnapped. I'm being forced to be in this detention. Then I have COVID. I don't know how it's going to end, because it's a 50-50 thing. I might die here. I don't know. It was really tough for me. At Jawar's place, 3 days after, actually 2 days after Hachalu's assassination, this was a big story. So Jawar has been arrested, and other political leaders have been arrested. So I got calls from international news agencies that had interest to do a follow-up story on Jawar's arrest, which includes an interview with the families of Jawar Mohammed. So beside that, also rights organizations, Amnesty International and human rights organization, which wanted to know exactly what was happening. And I went there to do an interview on the family, which I did, and which was aired and published. That is exactly the reason why I was at Jawar's place.
Mr. Speaker, the arrest of Mr. Yassin Juma was malicious, was offensive. Yassin Juma was not clearly told the offense that he committed. It's not just the arrest and the release. We can't celebrate the release of Yassin Juma on the face of it.
I would really want to thank Kenyans for putting the government on toes. It was vital for my release. I would also love to thank the Oromo community in diaspora, for putting me in prayers, for helping me go through whatever I was going through, giving me hope, and also demanding for my release. I would also like to give thanks to organizations like the Committee for Protection of Journalists and the Federation of Foreign Correspondents in Ethiopia and in East Africa.